Hello students, so today we will be starting with a new topic. The new topic name is environmental education. This chapter is present in the class 12 book of education, and today we will be knowing that what do you mean by environmental education. So let us begin. Here we will be understanding the meaning of environmental education. So environmental education is an education through the environment, about the environment and for the environment. Through the various activity, teaching learning can be carried out. The child can learn about environment, that is physical environment, cultural environment and social environment through subjects like geography, history, etc. Insofar as teaching for environment is concerned, it means controlling the environment, proper use and conservation of resources, and also involves central use of environmental pollution and population. Also, now you see, if I talk about environmental education, there is one subject named environmental education, and from this subject only we know about the environment, that how we should protect our environment and we must how we must control the pollution problem and the issues that are in our environment. The issues that I'm talking about, the population control, the pollution, also on the other hand, those problems which are related to the environment. Also on the other hand, through the environmental education subject itself only, we understand that how we can we can make proper use of the environment in a better way. Now you see, if I talk about environment, in the environmental education, there comes the physical environment, there comes the social environment. Also on the other hand, there comes the cultural environment. You see, in this subject we know about the culture as well, we know about the society as well. Also there are other issues through which we can implement some of the rules, and through these rules only we will be protecting our environment. And from these rules only, the people will be getting certain guidelines through which we can make use of this subject and can protect our environment in a very better way. You see, if we protect our environment, then there will be sustainable development and there will be a better future. I hope you have understood. Environmental education is an integrated process which deals with man's interrelationship with his natural and man-made surrounding, including population growth, population resource allocation, depletion, conservation, technology for urban and rural planning to the human environment. Very, very important. Now, if I talk about environmental education, now what do you mean by environmental education? It is an integrated process, which means step-by-step process through which we know about our environment in a better way. Also, on the other hand, it also studies the interaction between the human being with the environment or with the physical environment. And in our environment, what kind of issues actually come? First of all, conservation of resources, harnessing of the resources, and third comes the controlling of the population, how we can control the population, and also population control comes, and also there comes the issues of the pollution. You see, now air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, this pollution are a very much important issue in our environment. With this subject only, we will be understanding that how we can actually control the pollution, the population, also on the other hand, the other issues that are actually in our environment. Also on the other hand, it also signifies the technology for urban and rural planning to the human environment. Now, our generation is of AI technology. It also helps us to understand the use of the technology through which human beings will be interacting with the environment itself, which means there will be urban planning and rural planning will be there. And urban areas are developing. On the other hand, the rural areas must be developed so that there the people can also earn something. So there is rural planning so that people can develop there and can make of the resources that are in the rural areas. Also, on the other hand, it is a study of factors influencing ecosystem, mental and physical growth, population pressure, and so on. It should be carried out according to the principle of lifelong integrated education. Now, there are certain factors which influences the ecosystem of a particular environment. There are certain factors which influences the ecosystem of a particular environment, the mental and the physical growth. Yes, you see, ecosystem is a particular area, and it is a part of the ecosystem. In the ecosystem only, you see, there will be the human beings, other animals and other non-living things will be interacting with each other. There comes the physical environment as well. Also on the other hand, the mental growth. You see, in the environment itself only human beings grow, and there comes the physical growth and the mental growth as well. Also, on the other hand, population pressure is there. It should be carried out according to the principles of lifelong integrated education. Now, how it should be carried out? It should be carried out with a lifelong integrated principles. There are certain principles through which people are guided to make use of the environment in a better way. Now, we will be understanding the needs and objectives of environmental education. Now, what is the need and objectives of environmental education? How environmental education is important? So first of all, if I talk about environmental education helps students in understanding cordial relationship that develops between man and environment. It provides knowledge on the environment, associated problems and role of individuals in it. Now, if I talk about environmental education helps students in studying the cordial relationship between the environment and the man itself, first of all. And second of all, it also helps us study the associated problems with the environment. What are the associated issues are there? It helps us to study about the issues regarding the environment and also the role of individual in a particular environment. Now, what is the role of individual in an environment? Yes, to protect the environment. You see, each and every individual has a particular role. So those roles must be studied by each and every student so that they know how to adapt in a particular environment. Also, objectives of environmental education. Now, what are the objectives of environmental education? Here you see, acquire basic understanding of the interrelationship of components and factors of the environment and the processes that occur in it. Now, basic understanding. Each and every student must have a basic understanding regarding the interrelationship of the human being and the environment. Means with the help of environmental education, each and every individual must understand the interrelationship between a man and the physical environment. Also, develop desirable values and attitudes, especially concern and responsibility towards the conservation and enhancement of the environment. Now, desirable values and attitudes. Through this subject only, each and every individual understand the desirable values and attitudes towards the environment, first of all, and second of all, the responsibility towards the conservation of the environment. This is also kept in mind and acquired and refined skills in identifying, accessing and solving environmental problems. Now, to refine the skills, those skills which are actually important to protect the environment, those skills are being learned by this subject. Also accessing those skills. Also, on the other hand, to solve some of the environmental problems. As I have already told you that there are so many environmental problems. So with this subject only, we will be understanding that how we will be coping up and can solve the environmental issues. Also, develop a sense of urgency in responding to environmental issues, problems, and taking action towards their solution. Now, develop a sense of urgency. You see, it's a very urgent issue. If there is any environmental problem, it is a very serious issue. So, as a result, the students must be serious enough to understand that how important we must think about the environment, first of all, and also second of all, the environmental issues must be coped up and must be solved at the end of the day so that each and every individual can adapt in a particular environment without any pollution or without any other environmental issues. And also taking action towards their solution. Also taking actions towards their solution. You see, the first point comes about the understanding of the interrelationship of the components and factors of the environment. Now, if I talk about interrelationship here, the interrelationship signifies the components and the factors that are in the environment. And second comes the desirable values and attitudes. The desirable values, attitudes, and concerns must be learned by each and every individual to adapt in a particular environment so that they can take serious responsibility. Also, acquire and refine skills. Now, to acquire and refine skills, which means to acquire and refine skills in acquiring, in identifying, accessing, and solving the environmental problems. And fourth comes developing a sense of urgency in responding to environmental issues, problems, and taking action towards their solution, which means to develop a sense of urgency. There should be enough responsibility to develop a sense of urgency in protecting the environment. So these are the four objectives of environmental education. Now, principles and scope of environmental education. Now, what are the principles and scope of environmental education? Very, very important comes the principles of environmental education. Now, environmental education helps in programming learning experiences from simple to complex. Very, very important. Now, environmental education Environmental education helps us learn from simple to complex problems. You see, there are simple problems there. From the simple problems only, we will be understanding the complex problem. We will be accessing those issues so that we can solve those issues. Second comes the environmental education helps children to proceed from indefinite ideas to definite ones. Now, environmental education helps children to understand the indefinite ideas from the definite ones. You see, if I talk about the environmental issues, there are complex problems. From the indefinite issues which are not defined properly, from the indefinite issues only we will be understanding the definite ones so that people can adapt in that particular environment and can solve some of the issues. Now, example, an infant is not able to distinguish between colors, but as it grows, it learns to discriminate among different shades. Now, if I talk about the stages of different children, you see there are certain stages are there where the children actually cannot differentiate between different colors. Also, they cannot differentiate between the real environment and the physical environment. But slowly when they grow up, they become mature. During that time only they actually understand the difference between the physical environment and the real environment. You see, there are some stages. After the stage of 8 years only, the children actually understand the meaning of a particular environment. So in this way only, environmental education is important. Now, environmental education helps children to proceed from concrete to abstract. Since environment is full of concrete things, which children may examine, classify, and interpret, and then draw their own conclusion and inferences about them. Now, if I talk about environmental education helps us to proceed from concrete to abstract, which means from concrete to abstract, from the simple things to the more complex things. It has been said. Also, on the other hand, from the real things to the imaginary things. Also see, since environment is full of concrete things which children may examine, classify, and interpret, and then draw their conclusion and inferences from them. Now, if I talk about concrete things only, those facts, the facts which are actually vivid to the children first of all, and abstract means to get knowledge, to get inferences from that particular experience. So from concrete to abstract, you see, before children have concrete knowledge, they have knowledge that what is a tree, what is a star, what is a planet. In fact, they have knowledge regarding about small things in a particular environment. But slowly when they become mature, they become developed. As a result, from their own imagination only, from their own knowledge only, they try to find out the inferences regarding that particular product or regarding that particular object. So from concrete to abstract, children will be, with the help of environmental education only, children will be solving some of the issues from the knowledge of concrete to abstract. I hope so this is clear. Environmental education has social relevance to man's interaction with his physical and social environment. It relations to changing human attitudes which cause man omit hatred upon one another, namely on ground of caste, creed, color, religion, etc. Now, if I talk about environmental education, it teaches us to have a social relevance. It teaches us to have a social relevance, which means to maintain a unity in a particular society. There should be no gender discrimination. There should not be any caste discrimination, which means each and every human being must stay in unity as it has been taught in the environmental education itself. Why? Just because if there is unity among the individual, then only we will be adapting in a particular environment. So this is the fourth point. I hope so this is clear, and now we will be understanding the scope of the environmental education. What is the scope? What is the future inferences regarding environmental education, and with the help of environmental education, what a particular human being or an individual can do. Now, here you see a lot of teaching learning can be carried out through environment. Natural environment like flower, insect, breeze, birds, and many other historical, cultural, and social places fascinate day in and day out instead of teaching the topping in the class. Children can be taught through environment. Now, very important regarding the scope of environmental education. With the help of environmental education, children can learn so many things from nature itself. Rather than taking the book, rather than the theoretical knowledge, children can learn everything from the environment itself. From the environment only, they will be observing, they will be learning how to observe each and every particular thing, and they will be understanding that what is the nature around them. Also, you see, man has to tackle his environment every day for his survival, sustenance, and prosperity. He cannot escape it under any circumstances, right from the birth to death. He is born in a family and brought up by the family, which is a primary group for him. Now, if I talk about a particular individual from birth only, they actually has been born in a particular environment. From that particular environment, they will be learning survival, they will be learning sustenance, they will be learning how to interact with the other people in a society. Also, on the other hand, from this environment itself only, they will be learning how to cope up with the most complex situations. Now, for example, if I talk about an environment, the first environment is our parents, where we were born, and second environment comes the institution, the school, the college comes the second institution. From there only we understand how we will be inculcating experiences and go out into a particular environment. After infancy, he attains the stage of childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. It is therefore in one's own interest that one should learn about environment, more so the intermediate one. It is very necessary to know about several other features of natural environment which affects man's health and hygiene. Now you see, from the birth, from infancy to the adolescence and also to adulthood, an individual actually cope up and interact with the environment. For that reason only, environmental education is important, so that learning can be given or knowledge can be imparted to each and every student or individual, first of all. And second of all, one learns so many things from the environment, which means environment. From the environment, this is an intermediate one from where we understand everything. We inculcate a lot of experience and knowledge. It is also necessary to know other features of natural environment which affects man's health and hygiene. Very, very important. It is a very important term, natural environment. From the natural environment itself only man understand about the health and hygiene. From the natural environment, people will be knowing the sustenance, people will be knowing the survival. Also, on the other hand, they will be knowing how to maintain their own health and hygiene. I hope so this is clear. So today we have studied regarding what is the meaning of environmental education, what is the need and importance of environmental education, what is the objective of environmental education, and what is the scope of environmental education. I hope so you are clear regarding environmental education. So if you want to know any of the courses regarding our institute, then you can contact us in this number 863839171, as it is written on the screen itself. And thank you for watching my video.